Finally, an answer to the age-old question, which comes first, the chicken or the egg roll? Easy! Just eat whichever one's closest. The Sensation Salad and Filet Sandwich Meal are back at Zaxby's. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, crispy wontons, Asian slaw, and citrus vinaigrette. And each comes with its very own egg roll for a limited time only at Zaxby's. Try them with fried pickles while supplies last.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
wake up, wake up. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's Indescribably Good, Warchant.com. That is your ultimate Seminole sports source. Use the promo code Warchant30 for 30 free days of access. We're going to be unveiling a new look. I think by the time you all listen to this, the forums are going to be transformed. It's going to look so sleek, so sharp. I cannot wait. Almost with the anticipation I have of uncorking this mailbag of Renegade Express. Corey Clark, how are you, friend?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. How are you doing? You doing all right? You hanging in there? You better than you were yesterday?
Nah, some guy tweets at me, boneless chicken wings are literally not a wing of a chicken. How hard is that to understand?
Well, I mean, there is a point. And he didn't tweet.
Oh, stop. I'm not doing this today.
He didn't tweet in that voice. There's nothing that says for sure that he had that voice when he was tweeting it to you.
Renegade Express.
He could have been like more of a lighthearted, jovial. Like, what's so hard to understand, man? They're not chicken wings.
Boneless chicken wings are literally not a wing of a chicken. How hard is that to understand? Dude, if you said that to me in person, like someone's leaving the club, like someo's getting escorted out. I'm not being a tough guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might be leaving on a stretcher.
I could easily lose the confrontation. There'd probably be a confrontation, though. I'm just saying. Like, you can't talk to people that way.
That's all right. I got you. Well, the internet's a little different than real life, I've figured out.
It is. Sifu Hotman Knoll. I don't even know what that's all about. Just explain yourself next time you post on the ponies. I'm curious. He has a very zen-like avatar. Sifu Hotman Knoll. So the questions I put out there for everybody was how excited is everybody for James Blackman? How excited is everybody for Josh Kando? Will he pull a Joe Burrow? And what do you think about a true freshman beating the nation's leader in interceptions on a route in one-on-ones? Panic or praise? He just says, Kentron Portier, color me excited. Peter Warwick days away, Corey. Xavier Lee days away for Aslan. He posted this, obviously, when we were 9 days away, which we're now 8.
So now we are...
Devontae Freeman, right?
Freeman's a good one. I was going to say Jernigan. That's a good couple of number 8s on that team. You had Freeman and Jernigan on the same team. We're in the same number. Yeah. Taiwan Easterling. You could throw him into the mix. By the way, I think I've said this on this show, but he's thrown a football farther than anybody I've ever seen throw a football in person. Taiwan Easterling. Him and Burt Reed were just throwing to each other after practice one day when we were allowed to go out there at the end of practice. And he must have been throwing it 80 yards in the air. It was unbelievable. So, anyway, we're Taiwan Easterling, Timmy Jernigan, Bryant McFadden.
Yeah, B-Mac.
Devontae Freeman days away. Terry Anthony, going a little old school for everyone out there. We're Terry Anthony days away.
Like, could you tell he strained on that throw, or did he make it look somewhat effortless? Or
That's the thing. It looked like he was just throwing a football, like it didn't look like he was girding up. And I remember, like, when Burt, because he was on the other side and Burt was catching it in front of us. And I'm like, hey, man, can I see that? To see if it was a real football. He was throwing it like it was one of those small footballs that go 150 yards. And it was a real football that he was just, like, taking one step and just lofting, and it was going 75, 80 yards in the air. It was nuts.
Taiwan Easterling, if I'm not mistaken, is from Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Yeah, and I tried to I reached out to him on Facebook a few years ago. Jim Lamar pointed it out that he was in the Northwestern Business School.
Yeah.
So I think he was getting his master's in business at Northwestern. So very bright guy. Didn't get to talk to him a ton, but he had an okay career at Florida State. He was pretty good, and he was a baseball player too.
Yeah. But his hometown team is going to play
right
Thursday night as we record this. So
Did play Thursday night, yeah.
SMTT, Southern Miss to the top. That's their hashtag. So shout out to my Golden Eagles. I don't think it's going to probably end up well for them this year. They got a whole bunch of guys opting out. They're kind of a mess.
Their hashtag is SMTTT?
Correct, 3 T's, yeah. Southern Miss to the top.
That's not good.
Best part is I went to their, and we'll get the Florida State stuff here real quickly, I promise you. When they introduced Ellis Johnson as their next head football coach, I went down to Hattiesburg for the introductory press conference, and I actually kind of snuck my microphone on the days where he was up speaking at the podium. And I'm filming it. I'm 100 yards back in this ballroom, and he makes his final salvo, thanks so much, and then everybody starts clapping, and you can hear him. It picks up on my mic. They killed his mic on the podium, but my mic is still hot, so I can hear it on my feed. And he turns to the chancellor. He's like, "What do I say? Southern Miss to the top?" And he's getting coached on. He's like, "Southern Miss," and then everybody in the crowd's like, "To the top," and he's like, "Thank you." And I'm like, "Oh, this is a harbinger of things to come."
I feel like
12.
maybe he did go 0-12. That's the guy that Jimbo wanted to hire as DC before Pruitt.
Yeah.
I think
You're right. Yeah.
You would think that you would ask the chancellor beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
That's not hard to remember, is it?
No.
Southern Miss, and they're going to yell out to the top.
Yeah. You know who would know about that beforehand?
Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
He'd know the history of it.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Also, Ellis Johnson then consequently becomes the defensive coordinator at Auburn and gets torched in the second half of the 2014 national title game. So that was fantastic. Or the 2013 national title game played in 2014.
So he did become the OC at Auburn that year?
DC, yeah, DC.
DC,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's right, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right, he did. Once they stopped stealing those plays.
That's right. That is right. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to pull up the rooster just so I can make sure I know all the freshmen on here because I don't know the roster as good as all you folks do at home because you're so much smarter than I am. Also, number 9 apparently was Carlos Williams. Jacques Patrick also was a number 9. Twitter,
yeah.
Thank you, Twitter.
Carlos Williams wasn't. Why did I think he was a 6?
No,
that was
I
obviously
didn't
Nick
have confidence.
Wason.
I should have had confidence. I should have said it with my chest.
It's my fault. That's my fault. I should have known.
Okay, which freshman besides Chubba Purdy, Aslan, and Corey, but mainly me because I'm, the conductor of the train. Which freshman do you think has the biggest impact on the season as a whole? One on offense, one for defense. Sifu Hotman Knoll says Toafili offense, Josh Griffiths on defense.
Yeah, those are good. I was going to say Dix on defense, Stephen Dix Jr. I guess Travis J doesn't count. I mean, he is a redshirt freshman. But we'll go true freshman. I think Toafili's a really good answer. Corey Wren, too. I just think there's something there.
You've been.
I just think they're going to try to get a guy with speed. They're going to figure out a way. I mean, essentially world class speed. They're gonna figure out a way to get him the ball in space. But yeah, my initial answer is Toafili and Stephen Dix Jr. Okay. But Josh Griffiths is a good answer too.
Oh man, I wanted to say offensively, maybe one of those tight ends. Although we really haven't heard a lot about them. I mean, we heard about Carter Boatwright at first, and then Douglas, Marquise Douglas. I think he's a little bigger. So then they put 3 back. Cam McDonald. I know they bumped Wyatt Rector to tight end, but maybe one of those guys will surprise. But I'll say Robert Scott. I know it's not sexy, but he's going to probably be the swing tackle that's going to back up Love Taylor and Darius Washington. So it's not a sexy pick, but hey, he's an offensive lineman, and they need offensive linemen. And I don't know, Damori Tate, I guess. Damori Tate was the highest-ranked player they had. I mean,
it's just so crowded back there.
It is. But you never know. I'll cop out and say that. But those are good picks. Toafili, Griffiths. So who'd you go with? So Wren and who?
No, I went with Toafili. I said Wren was in my brain, but I went with Toafili and Stephen Dix Jr.
I got you. Okay. Sabaxley 1212, Corey Aslan. Wake up! If the stadium were to be renamed, I always thought that Bowden Andrews Stadium would be best. Don't you think that the Midtown offices should be renamed Schofel Studios?
No way.
No, it's the Midtown office, man. He's got the
he's not on this show enough. If we could rename Warchant the entity after Ira if we wanted, but no, his fingerprints are barely on this thing. The reason that this show is such a huge smash success is because of the people you hear talking right now.
That's right.
Not Ira.
That's right.
Who knows what Ira's doing right now? He's not grinding like we are. I can tell you that much.
He's probably on 2 hours sleep. posting
I
his
know.
fourth
Yeah.
different story to Warchant right now.
Hey, whatever.
I wonder if whoever gave us that 4-star that talked about the '85 Nebraska game, that was a figment of his imagination. I wonder if he got on board, left the 5-star, and realized it was a smashing success.
Let's hope, because I corrected him. Now again, they did win in '85 too in Nebraska. It's just Stark wasn't the punter.
Right.
The Stark was the punter in the '80 game.
Also, real quick, apologies to people on YouTube. Yesterday was very ad-heavy. There's something that we don't really have control of, like YouTube just kind of spawns all these ads in the middle of the show. I'm able to go back and then take them all out. But sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. And they caught me sleeping at the wheel. So I'll try not to let it happen again, but it probably will happen again. Just, deal with it. Or listen to a podcast like a grown-up and download the apps. I'm just kidding. I love all of you. Every play matters to me the most, whether it's Spotify or YouTube. Doesn't matter. They're all equal, just like children. Mm-hmm. Curious, Sabaxley says, what was it that made you decide to get into sports journalism? Also, Bowden Andrews Stadium, boss. That'd be boss. Welcome to the boss, yo. I'll take Bowden Andrews Stadium. I'll take that. I like that. That also sounds very, very proper. That sounds very.
I was going to say
Southern.
it's too proper for them because they're Bobby and Mickey. Right. They're not Bowden and Andrews. Those could be school presidents from the '40s. Like, they're known as Bobby and Mickey. So I don't know how you incorporate that, but like Bobby Mickey Stadium. Again, I think Bobby's allowed to have the stadium. That's fine. He means more than the university than anyone, or the football program anyway. So give him the stadium, but you can make it Andrews Field at Bowden Stadium, or just give Mickey, I don't know, his own little corner of the stadium. Anything. Honor the man in some way while he's still on this earth to appreciate it. That's all I'm asking.
If we want to take like an SEC page, like Jordan Hare in Auburn, like why not just go straight up War Memorial, like Osceola War Memorial Stadium? That sounds absolutely daunting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Again, I don't know about the climate right now. If you can start, talking about Indian Wars, Seminole Indian Wars, maybe you can.
That's the whole thing. Like War Memorial Stadium, I'm sure all has tributes. Like Soldier Field has tributes to, fallen U.S. troops. But like this stadium would be a pillar to the Native American community and their battles.
Okay, I see what you're
doing. To preserve their freedom and stuff. Okay, # unconquered. All right, he doesn't want to talk about football. That's crazy. Dude, we're 8 days away from Kicks-Up, actually. Come on, man. But anywho. What made you decide to get into sports journalism? My dream in middle school and early high school was to be the next Marvin Jones at FSU, but once I got to 10th grade, realized I wasn't big enough, wasn't strong enough, wasn't talented enough, and I didn't have the work ethic. But other than all that, I turned around and said, hey, maybe I'll be a coach. However, actually teaching for a few years, I learned I was not wired to be in the classroom. Shout out to any teachers out there. They are to be commended. So what factors led you on the career path you are on? Thank you for what you do. Keep grinding, and go Noles.
I think it's just, with me personally, I just grew up a huge sports fan because of my dad, and I had this weird ability to retain facts and figures. And so growing up and I did like to write a little bit, but growing up my whole life, everybody just told me, oh, you're going to be on ESPN one day. You're going to be an announcer. So I kind of figured that's what I would do. Like either I'd be a talk show host on the radio, or I'd be a play-by-play guy for a team. And then I've told this before, but when I got into Georgia, I transferred to Georgia. To get into the broadcast journalism school, you had to have a 3.8 GPA if you were transferring in from another school. Corey Clark's GPA was not. I don't even think I was in the threes, much less the high threes. Didn't really take my time at Georgia Southern probably as seriously as I should have if I'd have known that was what was awaiting me. But to get in print media, you only needed like a 2.2. So Daddy was like, you know what? I can write a little bit. I can hold a microphone up to somebody and let them talk. So that's how I got into print journalism. And then really did like it. I do like it. I do like it a lot. And now I get to do both. But that was the main thing. It's just how I had such a love for sports and a passion for it. And my thought all along was if I got a job in this field, it would never feel like work. And other than the hour a day I have to do with this guy, it never feels like work. Sorry, I didn't mean to. That didn't come across as nice. I apologize, Aslan.
It's fine. GSL 7532.
Wait, you didn't answer it. Well, it wasn't just for me, was it?
It's the intersection of.
And the chicks are great. The chicks are great too.
Yeah. We're just balling out here.
Right,
it's as I say when I go to assorted schools on career day, It's you got to find the intersection of your passion and what you're proficient at. So, pretty good writer, despite the fact I don't write for the website. I'm a very good broadcast writer. I can't write a Corey Clark column or an Irish O'Fell expose. Like, I'm good at puns. I'm a very crafty writer, and I do like speaking. And I'm really good reading off a teleprompter. Like, when I can have everything, I'm in a controlled environment. I'm not having to do this podcast where I'm like looking at your audio level, my audio level, balancing the questions, looking at our hit time. Got to get out of this. Got to get into that. Make sure I read this ad, read that ad.
Yeah, we know, but it's not really what you're good at. Why did you want to do it?
Because it's what I'm good at. Now. I said I'm proficient in my passion. My passion.
When you were 16 and 19. Why did you want to do it when you were 16? You didn't know you were proficient at it.
I know I was a good writer and good speaker. I love being, dude. Like when we'd have like English class, we would read plays in the class, and I would go and read through whatever play we were going to do that day, and made sure I got the one that had the most lines. Because that's the way I roll. Right. But no, I grew up in front of the TV. I'm an '80s baby. You know, my brother and I, like our parents both worked. So my brother was really into sports. We grew up in front of the TV. I just remember watching College Game Day back when Craig James was on the panel and stuff. And I'm just like, dude, like I love sports. I always love competing. And I did realize like I was a little squirt. I didn't have the physical capability to actually play football. So I was like, hey, I'll probably speak about this one day, hopefully. Right. And here we are.
And here we are. Everybody's lives are better for it.
That is right. GSL 7532. How has the O-line looked? I mean, GSL, you're a smart guy. You've been around since 2015. I mean, you know we're not out there. We'll find out in 8 days.
It's going to be Jernigan days. We think it's going to be better, but again, we don't get to see, which is a blessing and a curse. Because what if they're just awful? What if there's no improvement at all, and we would see that, and we'd have to come on here. Not that we'd say, we'd have to be honest and be like, look, guys, it's going to be slow going. It's going to be tough. These guys aren't. They're getting killed every day. But now there's the power of the unknown. There's the excitement of the unknown. They might have made great strides in the last, 25 practices.
I just wonder, like, we're basing it on the fact that these guys are going to be stronger.
Well, that's a big deal, though, right?
Yeah,
to be stronger.
For sure. And more experience. I just wonder, like, ultimately, when we look back on 18 and 19, do we just think this offensive line didn't know what they were supposed to do, or they just simply were incapable of executing it?
A combination. 18, it's hard to put anything into that. Like, that was just a complete train wreck from start to finish. 19, again, I just think 19, when they played decent teams, not great defenses, but just okay defenses, they did well. Like Boise State had a pretty good defense, and that offense did pretty well.
For 30 minutes.
Yeah, but they showed that they could.
Right.
Like the year before, they might have scored 6 points against that defense. So I just think it was those teams with good to great defensive lines that they just simply could not block them. It wasn't schematic. Now the offense could have made some adjustments a little bit to get the ball out of Hornibrook's hands quicker, or actually not play Hornibrook. That would have been an adjustment. It at least take some shots downfield against man coverage. But more than anything, there was not much you could do. They were just getting steamrolled by 4 down linemen. Other times, against it was the NC State game where Hornibrook must have got one of the games. Hornibrook, I feel like, got sacked 8 times. But half of it was on Hornibrook. Yeah. Like, he'd roll into the pressure, he'd get happy feet, he'd move when he didn't need to move, when the pocket was there. It was those really good defenses where the team looked just completely overmatched, and that's where you want to see a little growth. Look, they're not going to be opening up interstate size holes for anyone, but you want to see a little growth against good defenses, and we'll see right away on that second game if they're any better at all.
Do we underestimate maybe how good Cam Akers was, and maybe he kind of kept defenses somewhat honest? They had to kind of play the run and the pass and respect it a little bit, or was it just the fact that they had no regard for the offensive line? They could just run their base and they were going to win a football game. I think
Cam Akers led the country by a wide percentage of yards after contact, yards out of after being hit in the backfield. Yeah. He was incredible. That's why I think I drafted him on our all-time fantasy team.
You did, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and people were like, I had Tamari and Terry and Cam Akers, and I think when we look back at their careers and what they were able to accomplish with this offensive line and these quarterbacks, They were really good, really, really good college football players. But yeah, no, I hope people aren't underestimating Cam Akers because he was awesome. I don't. They're not going to have anybody close to that this year. But I do think they'll rush for more yards this year, just because I think it's been instilled. It's part of the philosophy here, and they're going at all costs. They're going to try to instill some toughness in a running game in this offense.
I just wonder, what are teams going to fear or respect? 'Cause, I mean, Cam probably opened some stuff downfield for Terry. Just as they probably had to keep some guys closer to the line of scrimmage to, respect his ability to, power through some stuff. I just wonder how much maybe he opened up stuff. And we'll find out, though, Corey. 8 days.
That's right, man. That's right. We won't have to ask these questions anymore. We'll know. We'll get to see it with our own eyes.
Speaking of 8 days, Alex Hornibrook was sacked a program-high 8 times in Florida State's victory against NC State. FSU allowed 7 sacks to Miami in 2001. So there you go, Alex. Part of history, man. Wake up! So hard to contain the excitement right now, says Mad AMCZ. We're only a week away from what I truly believe is the rebirth of a proud program that is ready to erupt again. Other than the obvious candidates, Josh Kando, Marvin Wilson, Tamorian Terry, which player do you think has a performance against Georgia Tech that really gets FSU Nation fired up? Maybe one of these speedy new running backs, maybe a converted wide receiver named Isaiah Bolden, maybe a shutdown defensive back with a pick 6 or 2, or maybe the team as a whole plays 4 solid quarters and we simply take care of business. I'm good either way, just looking for your prediction on a player or two who comes out and makes us say, wow, that's FSU football. More than ever, go Noles.
What about Mastro Mano?
Oh, okay.
No, man, that's hard.
It's just one player, one game. It's one player, one game, basically.
I mean, that's just a guess. And let's just hope they win the game. I will say, I'll give one on each side. I'm going to say, one of the running backs I think is a good pick because we haven't seen any of them, literally any of them. So whoever the best running back is, that's the guy I'm going to say, yep, that get like it could be Corbin. Like Florida State fans after the game could be like, wow, that guy's the truth. Or it could be Toafili, it could be Webb. I mean, it could be any of them. And then on defense, I'm going to say Travis J.
Okay. I will say my boy Pokey Wilson. I think he'll catch an inordinate amount of passes because
inordinate. Okay, I like it.
What Cam McDonald and maybe Cam McDonald should have been my pick, but I'm sticking with Pokey because I put Pokey really, really high in my preseason top 40. And I'm going to say Robert Cooper. I think I think last year I was like he's going to make like one of these, Vince Wilfork on poor Leon tackles in the backfield, a la 2003 Orange Bowl, where it's like, dang, I think he's going to flash a bit against Georgia Tech, and we'll be like, man, look at this guy, look at number 91.
Yeah. He's lost probably 50 pounds, 60 pounds since he got here, and yeah, by all accounts. He looks like a different player. He was already decent. He just couldn't play much.
Yeah.
But now he's shed so much weight. He feels like a cat, like a lightning fast cat. And you got to assume he still has some of that brute strength. So he should be. I am really interested to see what the new Robert Cooper looks like. Not as much as I am with Kando. Yeah. But I am interested in Cooper.
I mean, isn't this really exciting when you think about it? Because there's all these options. I mean, there's all these players that could possibly break out in a big way against Georgia Tech, and they give you some real hope that, this roster, after all, is not that barren, and you can win at the sort of rate that you're accustomed to.
There's so many guys who haven't bumped the ceiling. Like, again, we know Asante, we know Marvin, we know Tamari, and they should all be better, but they're already really good. But then you have somebody like Gaynor, who might make big strides, Warren Thompson, any of the running backs, Travis J. Like, there's people that – Kando, Cooper. There's guys that have been around for a while but have never really – become impact players, or special players, I should say. But it's exciting to know that I do think there's a chance for a few of those guys I just mentioned to be special players. And that's certainly better than the alternative when you're just hoping they're solid. Like, I think there's some special in a couple of those guys. They just haven't shown it yet. And if they take that next jump, that would be exciting to see. Mm-hmm. You heard?
That's right. Next question, Backwoods Hicknell. It's his name, everybody. It's his name. I'm not calling him the Backwoods Hick. Knoll. That's his name. Wake it up. Been a while, guys, and I have been stewing over a few things for a while, but no time to do nothing. So here's some bullet points. He then proceeds to not have any bullet points. It's simply a wall of text. So bear with me here. For the new conference, I'd say take anyone who has ever won a national title. He says natty, but I don't like saying natty. Come on, you're a backwoods hick Knoll, and you say the word natty? Something doesn't check out. Something's not checking out here. Everyone who's ever won a national title from the beginning of time. That would be a perfect-sized conference. You'd have some cupcakes worked in there with lots of Ivy League teams.
True. Yep.
Okay, that's good. Next, there was a thread on Warchant a while back about the state of the team if Blackman was named starter. I concur. When Corey was talking about him potentially being here in 2022, I had visions of Tennessee and the Clausen boys. Just yuck.
Yeah, but at least those were different guys. This would be one guy running the whole gamut from start. He'd be one Blackman boy, one Blackman brother.
Oh, man. I don't want to be a downer, but haven't we always had an issue with the great Georgia Tech? Hope we kick the crap out of them, but all I ever remember is close games that shouldn't ever be close. Similar question. Have we ever beat Oklahoma?
No. I don't
think
think.
so, yeah.
We could look that up, but not in my memory. They lost the 2 Orange Bowls, the 3 Orange Bowls. They lost to them here, and they lost to them out there. Maybe in the 60s, but I would no. They didn't beat him when Switzer was there, when Bowden had to go play him in his first year. So, no, I would say that they have not beat. But they beat Oklahoma State.
Oh, we're forgetting.
85 Gator Bowl.
Yeah. Well, no, they beat Oklahoma in 1965, the Gator Bowl, and now they're on a 6-game losing streak.
Okay, all right. So they beat and they beat Oklahoma State in the Gator Bowl as well, and then also in Dallas, whenever that was 6 years ago. Yeah, there we go. So they're all right. They're all right with one team from Oklahoma. I think they put up 76 on Tulsa one year. So they've had some success with these Oklahoma teams. They would crush Oral Roberts, but I think Oral Roberts is in Oklahoma. I might have made that up. But, against Oklahoma, the power program, not a whole lot of success. Bill Peterson had something for him, though, in the mid-'60s.
Take that, yeah.
Oklahoma's what is this? Why are they throwing the football? Are you allowed to do this? Coach, why aren't they throwing a flag? They keep throwing the ball downfield.
I always wonder why there is that dynamic. Every school, I feel, has that one team that they just, for some reason, have issues with. Like Florida State, for how long have they had problems in Raleigh? Like, when's the last time we went to Raleigh and it was just a cakewalk? Like, 14 wasn't a cakewalk, 16 wasn't a cakewalk. I mean,
2012 most certainly wasn't a cakewalk.
All right, I mean, you have to go there.
10, 08, 06. Probably 2000, like Phillip Rivers' freshman year. I think that's the last time they just went in there and crushed them.
I mean, like 2004 was even a struggle. Like, that was a Thursday night game, I think.
Yeah, that was the one where Florida State had like 11 yards of offense but won.
But hey, man, doesn't matter.
Whatever it takes. It was still a dub for Wyatt Sexton.
I always wonder, like, it just, does like one of your coaches have like an old flame that lives in that town? So then when you're in that town, he goes and gets like a soda pop and a hamburger with his old flame back when he was like in high school, and he's distracted. Does the opposing team have really good looking co-eds that distract the players when they get in town? It's like, oh, man.
I think that applies to Oklahoma. I would say it's mostly just happenstance and coincidence. Remember, Florida State owned Virginia Tech forever. Even when Virginia Tech was supposed to be good in 2005 and Florida State wasn't, they still beat them in that the first championship game of the ACC. They beat them I feel like 12 or 14 times in a row. And then, they lost up there in Blacksburg. They lost in the ACC championship game. We all remember what happened in Willie Taggart's first year, first game. So it flips, man. They're due to go on a winning streak against Oklahoma. I don't think there's anything to that because Bobby Bowden couldn't beat Barry Switzer, and then Jimbo couldn't beat Mark Stoops. Okay, I don't know that those two. There's a correlation there. It's just bad luck. Bad luck.
Bob Stoops.
Who did I say? Mark Stoops.
Yeah.
Mark Stoops was on the Florida State sideline that day. I don't know if you remember that infamous 2010 game.
I do. 2000, Florida State defeated NC State 58-14.
There you go. Yeah, Phillip Rivers did not enjoy that experience, but I think he handled Florida State all right after that.
Okay. Backwoods Hick Knoll still going here. Corey, you and Ira should do an entire show on the finances of college football and the kite string popping bubble bursting. I may be alone in that opinion, but that is absolutely fascinating to me. And last but not least, tell Norvell to lose the visor. He doesn't wear a visor. I can only think of 2 coaches that won titles that wore visors. Both were SEC coaches. Both were orange. He who shan't be named and Gus Malzahn, which, no, Gus did not win a national title.
Well, he won it as a coordinator.
Right.
If that matters.
Well, that doesn't. I mean, we're going to open a whole can of worms. We're talking about coordinators that wear visors. Thanks for keeping us entertained, as always, and forever. Go Knowles. He doesn't wear a visor. He goes hatless. He's a hatless guy. He's got a decent head of hair.
Does he?
Cropped.
I thought I'd seen him in visor a couple times.
I don't know. I think all the photos.
In relation to the mask thing, the shield thing that he wears. But I could be wrong. The headwear, I don't know that it matters all that much. You know what he should wear is the old hats that Bowden used to wear in the early 90s. Like the ones that stand all the way up. Oh, yeah. They almost look like top hats.
Like Les Miles almost style.
Yeah, like a 90s design.
Yeah, big emblem.
White, that's what the old logo. That's what he should be wearing. He should wear the old Florida State sweater that Bowden used to wear too.
Oh, yeah. I like that. But, yeah, Backwoods Hicknall, I'm all about making this like the warchant.com digital network. Like, I think there should be, like, Ira should have a podcast. I think, like, Michael Langston should have a recruiting podcast. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be every day like this, obviously. I mean, only a few people in this world are capable and equipped to talk about one singular thing every single day. So, we'll see.
Right.
But okay. Ira's got a whole bunch of other things going on. He's got another podcast called Seminole Headlines, and then another one called Black and Mild. Check it out.
Yeah, he's all over the place, man. He's ubiquitous. He's just kind of everywhere. We can't get away from him.
Yeah. Sean, 7711. He's been around since February 5th, 2003. He's posted 10,645 times.
Oh, my. There you go,
Workhorse.
Sean. Hey, getting his money's worth.
Workhorse. Hey, guys, I was curious if there has been any early indication on what kind of television revenues are expected this year. Assuming we were able to finish the season, I would assume the leagues that are playing would have some level of leverage over the networks due to limited product availability.
There's no word now, and I would imagine that stuff fluctuates and can fluctuate wildly in a year like this, where you can't imagine the ad revenue is going to be as high as it normally is.
I don't know.
I could be wrong. Maybe it'll be higher because there's nothing on September 12th but Florida State football against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
So maybe they're thinking they'll get great numbers. They might, but again, you don't know how many games are actually going to be played. What the season's going to look like, what kind of interest is there going to be nationally in a college football season where half the teams aren't playing. So that might affect numbers come October and November. It's just hard to say. I don't expect it to be as high as they would have penciled in before COVID hit, but no way to know that for sure.
It is interesting because like ESPN's got everybody there taking like a 10% pay cut. Like does ESPN go to all their television partners, or they go to the ACC and the SEC and the Big 12 and be like, hey, I know the contract says that we're going to pay you whatever, I don't know, $40 million for your TV rights this year, but with the climate we're dealing with, we're going to have to lessen it. That's the thing, and I don't know if the schools can go back and be like, hey, listen, you ain't got the Big 10 and the Pac-12 to fill your inventory. All you got is us, baby. We want more money, or else, what's Florida State going to do? We're going to do pay-per-view? I don't think.
By the way, speaking of that, did you see the tweet that Notre Dame football had?
No, I saw Oklahoma's going to play like Missouri State for $60 on pay-per-view.
Oh, I did see that, but no. So the tweet that Notre Dame football put out on Thursday afternoon at let's see, because I tweeted about it at 2:30 was. It's a picture of them painting the field and putting the ACC logo on it.
Ooh.
And it's done in fast forward, but it shows them putting the ACC and then the four people putting the paint on.
Oh, that is awesome.
The Notre Dame football tweet was felt cute, might delete next year.
That's awesome. That's great.
With a hashtag Go Irish and then another hashtag that says rally, and it had an emoji of my yard people are here. Hopefully you can't pick that up. I have a small backyard, so It's not going to take him long, and he's on this huge rider mower, so it should just take him 2 or 3 passes.
That's fine. You're good. Yeah, that's what the girls do on their dating bios. They'll post a photo like, felt cute, might delete later. They may say might delete later. They say might delete next year. Come on. What's with the – I don't care. Why do you let Notre Dame bother you this much? Who cares?
I'm just saying, like, come on, man.
But your tweet is such a jilted lover. I'm guessing this tweet will be deleted before the logo. Gotta love Notre Dame, baby.
Because the ACC is saving them. That's the only way they're playing football this year. Why take a shot?
It's funny though. Everybody knows
it's funny
it's a
to someone like you that likes making fun of people. Not me. I'm not into that humor. I'm dry, sarcastic wit. I'm sardonic. It's just like, come on, Notre Dame. We get it. You're not going to join the conference because you don't have to. You don't have to take shots at the ACC, who's actually nice enough to let you play football games this year, even though you're not a real member. Just rubbed me the wrong way, but it was also a 27-year-old doing it, probably not knowing exactly how it might look to someone like, say, John Swafford.
Let me read the comments to your tweet. They're going to probably be, you're such a pro. Here we go. We should have told ND to kick rocks. Should send it to the ACC. They keep getting played.
Yep.
Still waiting for them to win a natty.
Got it, man. Got it. Hey, take shots. It's awesome. It's just like, or you could be gracious and thankful that you actually get to play football games this year.
I just want like some sort of, they should have done this during the quarantine and everything. It was just.
But also, I have to admit, I didn't know that felt cute might delete later was like some sort of internet meme.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't know that.
It's what like girls will post on their like Instagram or whatever, and it's like them looking gorgeous and like felt cute might delete later. It's like, no, you're not. You're going to leave it there just so every man knows just what's walking on this planet.
Well, that gives it a little more context.
Yeah, that's why I think it's funny. If they would have done something that was just like
But imagine being a guy that's in his mid-40s that doesn't know what the hell that saying means.
Okay.
And then you're like, well, that's kind of BS, Notre Dame. That's not a good look. Yeah. Or imagine being 71-year-old John Swafford. Right. Being like, wait, what?
I mean, he's counting that money. He's counting that Notre Dame money.
Just go play Navy and Army 5 times each. I really thought this guy would be done with my backyard by now. I don't know what he's like doing spins.
It was like 2 minutes. Mike, what I do wonder, and if you and Ira did have a financial podcast, like stocks and bonds.
I legitimately think he's just timing himself to see how far he can get. Because there's not enough. I don't have enough backyard for him to now be making his 7th pass.
But, like Florida State and all these universities that are going to have limited capacity, 20-25%. I don't know. I mean, we're a capitalistic society. I get it. I assume the reason they're doing this is not to engender themselves to the community and their fan base, but it's to keep some money flowing into their coffers. But
sure.
Like if you're only going to have 20-25%, I mean, you still not as money, but you still need parking attendants. You still need security. You still need some concessions. Now, although that's all pared down, but so is the amount of people you're bringing here. So we'll sit here and talk about they'll have 20,000 at $100 per ticket. They're going to make this amount of money. That's good, but it's like, well, hey man, they still gotta pay for the lights to stay on. They got to pay for that press box and the thermostat set at 61.
I mean, they're still going to have an overhead that they got to cover, but you're still going to turn a profit too.
Right.
It'll be what it'll be what you normally make minus 2/3. Like it'll be 1/3 of what you normally make. So like you'll have 1/3 of the parking attendants, you'll have 1/3 of the security, 1/3 of ops people.
I just wonder if it's worth everything.
I wonder if those people, the randos that work at the stadium that are always in the press box eating ice cream. Are they going to be allowed to be in the press box, or are their jobs? Are they not going to be allowed in the press box on game day? I'm interested in that.
I wonder if they're still going to spread all the Haagen-Dazs bars out on a table.
I don't think that's going to happen. I can't. Yeah, I think the Haagen-Dazs are done. I think all food is done. I'm going to bring my banana, my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What else do you normally bring? Is that it? The huge thing of water?
Yeah, usually like a mandarin orange.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes like a protein bar or something.
Okay, yeah.
Long days, man. Long days out there.
I know.
But I'm going to sit in my home. I'm going to sit in my house and watch the Knowles, man. I'm going to get paid for it.
Yep.
Joke's on you, everybody. Shout out to Older Knoll 1958. He comes in and corrects everybody. And, if I didn't check it up on Knoll Fan, I would not have known. But he lets everybody know that FSU actually did beat Oklahoma during the Biletnikoff years in Jacksonville's Gator Bowl. So, Older Knoll, thank you for the knowledge.
There you go. That might have been Bud Wilkinson, too. That might have been before Switzer was the coach.
Suck it. Yeah.
It must have had to have been before the Switzer was the coach. So there you go. Good job, Bill Peterson.
Yeah. All right, here we go. This is crazy. All these questions that don't involve, nuts and bolts football, but this is what the people want, Corey. Orlando City Knoll. He's a Orlando City soccer fan in FSU, and now they're blowing the leaves away, and they're etching.
He's actually come inside the house, and now he's vacuuming, apparently.
Oh, wait
I don't know what is going on. I think what is that? I don't know what they're doing.
Oh, man.
It sounds like a chainsaw, but I didn't give anybody the go-ahead to start chainsawing my trees.
He tells us that he loves the show, guys. I appreciate you having kept it going even during the slow summer days. Question, have you heard if a game is canceled due to COVID, would it be rescheduled, like a hurricane game, or just canceled completely?
We have not heard, but they will make all yeah, it is a leaf blower. He's literally right out. What is he doing? There's no leaves. I'm starting to think Brady went out there and told him to just make as much noise as possible to get him off the hook. There's another one. I got two guys. All right.
Money well spent.
Yeah, I guess so. They're going to be quick. It'll be done in 6 minutes. It's not a big yard. I probably should have Brady do all this stuff, but what are you going to do? He's spoiled. They will do it. They will do everything they can to play them at a later date.
Do they have the flexibility though, Corey?
Yeah, sure they do. I would think they do. They just play in December. They've also built in those open weeks. So like Florida State has their open week, which obviously they can't. That it's pointless in regards to this question, having it the second week of the season. But that one later in the season, they have an open week. Maybe the team that they play has the same open week that they had postponed. I think what you'd get into is like the ACC championship game.
Yeah. You
have to assume that they're not going to be a part of it. And so I guess you don't have to assume that, but let's just say that the Florida State NC State game gets or North Carolina gets pushed back. Well, then those two teams would play on the day of the ACC championship game. I think that's what the ACC would try to do, as long as neither one of them are really in contention to be in the championship game. If they are, then yeah, you might lose the game. You know what I mean? Like if North Carolina's winning percentage is such that they're the number 2 team in the conference, or Florida State for that matter. I don't know why I chose North Carolina. If Florida State's winning percentage is, say, they're 8-1 in the conference, and their only loss is to Clemson, who's 9-0, then yeah, they got to play Clemson that week. So that game against North Carolina just gets postponed, I would think. Not postponed. I'm sorry, just gets canceled.
Yeah, I think they'll scrap the games. I just think that'll be too tough to. I mean, because you're going to kind of hose the other team over. Like if the other team doesn't have a breakout and you do, it's like are you going to? I mean, you can't forfeit it, but I just don't know how they would. I mean, I don't know if there's. They said they had all this flexibility, but I don't see a lot of it unless they just fill in. I mean, they have 2 off weeks, so and then one of them is in the week 2, so it doesn't really apply to this situation. It would have been, they probably should have front loaded and then had everybody have random off weeks later on the season. Did you hear this on the Simmons podcast, by the way? The NBA next season thinking they might stick in a bubble, but do it in like 20 game intervals. Like they would send 10 teams into a bubble. They'd bust out 20 games and then they get to go home for 2 weeks and then bring other teams into the bubble. Like that way. Like they can still see their families, and they don't have
to be gone for 6 months from their families.
Crazy, man. The NBA, all the money.
I guess that would be something. I think. I mean, I trust the NBA by this point because they won't start on time, obviously, because they don't even know when the draft is going to be. By the way, I was talking to Stan Jones. They're not sure when the draft is going to be, so it might not be till November that they do the NBA draft. And I told him, I'm like, well, at that point, just tell Devin and Patrick to come back,
right?
Get some more film up there, but. So, they might not start the season until January. And maybe, hopefully, by January, there'll be a better way to play in your own city.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the MLB is sort of doing it, but has kind of failed a lot in that regard. There are a lot of double headers and stuff, but the MLB is still playing, and they're doing it in their own city, and all these NBA teams have their private planes. They're also going to be testing a lot, so I would think maybe they don't have to do the bubble thing as much.
Well, that's the thing too. Like it gives them the flexibility to kind of opt out of doing that and then go back to playing in their home arenas if they can actually start bringing people into them. So saw that New York State is now going to open their casinos 25% capacity. So that's pretty encouraging.
And Las Vegas has been open, right? Most of this time?
I don't know.
I think so. I think their casinos have been open. It's the same thing. There's socially distanced guidelines, but I think they've been open. I know Biloxi's open, and the one in North Carolina, Cherokee, has been open.
Let's go. All right. Drill Sergeant Porter, wake up. I'm very excited for the season in football overall. I know recently UCF claimed a national title. Good for them. Anyway, it seems like a lot of schools claim national titles the same years others do, and FSU is not one of them. A big example, with me living in Ohio, is Ohio State claims 8 titles. 5 of those other teams are considered national champs. One of those, they lost the Rose Bowl, still claim the national title. If FSU did that hypothetically, how many titles would they have? Thanks for all the content. We are Taiwan Easterling days away, gentlemen. Go Noles.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I love Taiwan getting some love.
There you go. Well, those were the days they would literally name national champions before those bowl games. So you could, I mean, they said that you were the national champ. You could claim it even though you lost the game after that. But Florida State, there's nothing that's been in place that you could say that Florida State got hosed. Actually, like Florida State's been, the whole system's actually been kind of favorable to them outside of the playoff in 2014. Like 2000 against Oklahoma, we had one loss. Miami had one loss. They won the heads up on us, but we still went ahead of them.
98, they had one loss. Ohio State had one loss. UCLA had one loss, but Florida State got to go play in that one too. Yeah, I mean, I just think that, they every year they would lose one game in heartbreaking fashion, and then they had no chance to win a title. And if the playoff had been around back then, who knows how long. But yeah, I'm looking it up. I would say if I was going to give them a title for a season they didn't actually win it, but probably deserved it.
91.
I would say 87.
Okay.
And 92.
Ooh, all right.
Those would be my two. They lost on a missed field goal in 92, and in 87 they outplayed Miami for 4 quarters. Should have gone for the extra point. They didn't. They went for 2, and they got penalized, and then didn't get to play again because Miami went undefeated. But they were a better team than Miami in 87. And I think they were in 92 as well once they started doing the offense. But looking at Ohio State, yeah, they had a title in 42, 54, 57, 61, 68, 70, 2002, and 2014. So you want to say, let's say they have 4 titles post-integration out of 60 years. And they won one during World War II, which I don't know. I can't even imagine what their schedule was like in 1942. But yeah, all those things, man. Alabama, how many do they have? How many do they claim? 19, 17?
Yeah. Something
absurd. Some of them were in the teens and 20s. Some of them were during the Spanish flu. Like, none of that stuff it's just crazy that stuff counts. Like, it's such a different sport that it should be like pre-1960. You just, like the other listener had the idea about having all the teams that have won a national championship. Go look at some of those teams from the 20s and 30s and 40s, and their records would be like 6-1 or 5-1-1, and they win a national championship. Hey, you know what? Texas A&M would be in that list, though. They, as we all remember, they claimed the national championship in 1939.
Let's go,
Same year as, I believe that's the same year Wizard of Oz was debuted.
FDR, I think, rolled out the New Deal. 39, big season, big year.
I thought that was 33, but you might be wrong. I trust you. I don't. Hey, you know what? I don't know why I had to actually you. You're probably right. I trust you. The New Deal was.
Now I'm thinking. Now I'm thinking it over. I'm gonna have to look this up. I can't let this go. The people. It was enacted between 1933 and 1939. So
we crushed it.
Look at that.
We bookended that thing.
Look at that.
That was Boulware and Wilson.
Woo, doggy.
That's what you get, folks. You get New Deal talk.
Yeah, the 2 real quick things. I remember when I first joined Warchant, everybody would talk about Florida State, in their signature on their post would be, Florida State, home of the 1993 and 1999 MNCs. Like, hey, are we going to be able to win the MNC this year? And I'm like, what's MNC? And it's mythical national championship.
Yeah.
Because, we didn't have a playoff. We didn't have this one singular voice until the BCS and then the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, these are all mythical national titles to a certain degree. But obviously more than, there's certain myths. There's Bessie, there's Sasquatch, and then there's aliens, Some are a little more mythical than others. You figure out
I was listening to a podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
It's Jason Bateman and Will Arnett and Sean Hayes host this podcast. They're really funny guys.
Yeah, I like that.
But they had Neil deGrasse Tyson on, and they were asking him about UFOs. And his response was, look, I'm not saying they're not out there, and I'm not saying we're alone in the universe. But you remember all the, he's like, and maybe they do. I think they're a little older than us. But like, you remember how in the 70s and 80s, you'd hear all these talk about abductions and these spaceships and space flying saucers flying around and aliens. He goes, you realize now, nobody had cameras back then. You realize now, he goes, literally, humanity uploads 1 billion photographs a day to the internet. 1 billion. Everybody has a camera on them at all times. Some cars have them. Right. And all of a sudden, all the sightings have stopped. That's weird. Like, what, did the aliens get scared? Did they not come around as much anymore? And I thought that was a pretty interesting point, that it should be now easier than ever to find Bigfoot or to see an alien because we all have cameras.
I just think about, I don't know, like MIT or Cal Poly. And so like what? There's a planet out there that's got a university that's teaching their aliens how to build spaceships. They have a Home Depot out there. They have an O'Reilly aerodynamic parts shop. They can go buy the parts to make their spaceships that can fly over to Earth. Come on, man. Come on, everybody.
Hey, I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
And then second off, listen, there is, I could do a whole show just about how much the ill will in my soul embedded into my entire psyche when it comes to the University of Florida. Ohio State fans are the worst. Okay, Ohio State fans are worse than Florida fans. They don't disagree. The singular worst fan base, maybe in all of American sports.
I just looked it up. So you were right. In 1970, they lost to Stanford in the Rose Bowl, 27-17. Probably Jim Plunkett was the quarterback then for Stanford, and they still won the national championship. And then they had another one. Let's see this one. Their first one, 1942. They had another season where they lost their first game to Texas Christian and then still won the national championship. And then their first one, they lost in late October to Wisconsin, 17-7. Their final game that year was against the Iowa Seahawks. Ooh. What in the world is that? The Iowa Seahawks. Not the Iowa Hawkeyes, the Iowa Seahawks. This was 1942.
Lots of coastline in there in Iowa.
They opened their season against Fort Knox.
Ooh.
And then they lost midway through to Wisconsin. They beat Michigan, of course. And then they beat Iowa Seahawks 41-12. But they lost in the middle of the season. They were 8-1. You're telling me you're putting a banner up in your stadium for 1942's national championship, and it gets the same play as the one from 2014? They're completely different sports. It's crazy. So yeah, they should probably have 4. Okay. Florida State. I mean, yeah, Florida State. If Florida State was doing what it did in the 90s, back in 1931 to 1941, they would have won 5 or 6 national titles, and they'd 8-time national champion Florida State Seminoles instead of 3 times. It was just nonsense back then. All right. They shouldn't count. Sorry.
We got 6 more, and we're at the 53-minute mark. Let's see if we can figure this out.
We got to go quick. I got 6 minutes.
So says ZP. Boys, we're so close to the game week. I could not be more excited. Just a question, Aslan. Instead of calling in via phone for Renegade Express, could you just have someone join in via Zoom video to ask the question? Not necessarily just to show their face, but nowadays we all have Zoom, and I just think it would be a cool idea to join in live. Or happy hour, because the drinks are always cold over here. Tally to Cali, baby. I'm in San Diego. No, because we don't do this live, so we can't do Zoom. We can't. We used to do the voicemails, but you guys didn't like doing the voicemails, so we stopped doing the voicemails. But maybe we'll do
people
something.
Could maybe leave messages somehow.
Okay.
But yeah, we don't do this only on the one on the Tuesdays. Do we have where you can see us live?
Yeah. Maybe we can integrate that somehow for there. Jack Knoll 03, gentlemen, I cannot tell you how excited I am for football to start. I just watched a replay of 92 Florida State Georgia Tech. Could not help but wonder how long it will take FSU's defense to get back to the level of a team like 92. I mean, Marvin Jones and Derek Brooks at linebacker. Does it get any better than that? Thoughts?
No.
It doesn't.
It does not. No. Marvin actually got hurt in that game. He sprained his ankle at some point, second quarter, third quarter, and Derek Brooks had that was Derek Brooks' first season of being a linebacker at Florida State because he came in as a safety, and I feel like he had a gazillion. He might have had 19 tackles. He was all over the place. But that was the birth of the fast break offense, going to run it more than just at the last minute of each half. And 14 months later, they were winning a national championship. And Corey Clark, a young Corey Clark, would have been 17 at the time, senior in high school. Yeah, I was a senior in high school. Went to the Georgia Tech Florida State game that started at 3:30. Saw one of the all-time great comebacks in Florida State history. Then moseyed on over to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium right after that game to watch Game 1 of the 1992 World Series against the Toronto Blue Jays.
All right.
Damon Berryhill hit a 3-run dong to win that game, and then they still lost the World Series. So because that's what the Braves did.
Oh, man. Yeah, they got Bradley Jennings' son is going to be coming in next season. DJ Lundy, Steven Dix. These guys have raw tools, physical ability. So maybe not quite Marvin and Derek, but again, it doesn't get any better than that. So maybe
probably not quite. Probably not going to be Marvin Jones and Derek Brooks.
Yeah, just get a little bit. Just a little bit. Just shoot for them, and then you'll be all
right.
right.
Aim for the stars. You might fall in the sun or whatever that stupid saying is.
Yeah.
There you go.
FSU.
Yeah, you don't want to fall into the sun.
FSU, we're not Icarus over here. FSU KXAZ. Wake up. Good day, Corey and Aslan. Love the podcast. Yes, there are many of them to listen to. I listen to Seminole Headlines, Wake Up Warchant, Front Row Knowles, and they list a couple more podcasts I'm not going to give free pub to. In that order, you notice anything? Corey is a host of the top 2 podcasts I listen to. He really is the best. Or the pretty girl, as it were, and Jeff, Aslan, and Ira really are her ugly girlfriends. Yeah. LOL, all caps. That's a joke from Seminole Headlines this week.
It is.
I have no question. I do want to recommend a show. It's called Warrior. It came out on Cinemax back in 19, based on the writings of Bruce Lee. Check it out. It's truly epic. It has an 8.3 out of 10 ranking on IMDb with over 10,000 people having.
What is it? Is it a documentary or is it a?
It's not just a martial arts story. It's a period piece of American history that involves immigration, racism, economic inequality, and true crime. It is truly epic.
All right. Okay. There you go. All right. I'm always looking for new things to watch. Yeah. Although a new season of The Boys starts up tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that. That's my new favorite show at the moment. 3 more. Corey. Hey, real quick. I also just finished the 2nd season of Cobra Kai. It's on Netflix now, the kind of Karate Kid show.
Yeah.
It's good, man. I like it a lot. They do a good job with it. I really do like it. I'm not going to spoil anything. The season finale of season 2 was pretty ridiculous, but everything else leading up to that, I thought it's a really good show. I like it. And what's his name? Johnny William Zapp, the guy that plays Johnny that loses at the end. Yeah. I like him, man. I think he's a pretty solid actor. I'm glad he's getting work.
Right. Captain D_63, Corey or Aslan, have either of you heard anything on what's going on with DJ Matthews? Is he still on the team, doghouse, or opting out? We have not heard anything new.
He is not practicing with the team. Right. But we don't know if is the quarantine up? I don't know.
He's 14 days removed since he tweeted out.
Yeah. So I don't know. I know he was on Twitter retweeting some posts about James Blackman, and apparently he's a pretty big fan of James Blackman. And Tamari and Terry did tweet at him, wish you were out here with us. So that to me tells me that DJ Matthews isn't out there with them. So I'm moving forward thinking that, and I could be wrong, that DJ Matthews is not going to be a big part of the 2020 Florida State football team. It would not appear.
Yeah. Okay, second question. How many freshmen do you think start on the offensive line this year? Great show, guys. Have a blessed day. Eat at your favorite Zaxby's. Go Noles.
I would say 1.
Yes.
At some point. But I think those 2, Schrader and is it Robert Brown, right?
Robert Scott.
Robert Scott. Who's Robert Brown? Robert Scott.
Bobby Brown. Maybe you're thinking about
Scott Brown. I'm going to call him Scott Brown. Okay. I think both those guys will play. But I assume just one will work his way into the starting lineup at some point via injury or poor play or whatever. And I wanted to say to the last questioner that he was singing my praises.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I didn't say that last time. I felt like I sounded like I just kind of took that stuff for granted, and I didn't mean to. So I really do appreciate that, and I 100% agree with your assessment.
Big Steve-O 22, morning fellas, almost there. So, Slim Reaper QB1 again? Like you all have said, it was a foregone conclusion that would happen. I think he will be fine if he does adapt the concept that every play is its own play. What if I told you that he will throw close to 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 18 picks? Would you consider that good or bad? what do you think our record would be? I say those numbers because that is what a one Jameis Winston threw during the 2014 season. I know he's nowhere near the caliber Winston was, but those stats don't scream success yet. We were undefeated due to being a team effort and Winston adapting that every play is its own. Having Cook helped as well, at least until the playoffs. Either way, I'm rooting for my man. As always, go Knowles.
Yeah, the thing about Winston, though, is
too many interceptions, too many turnovers still.
It's crazy. But when it mattered, for the most part, he was making the plays that won games. And
absolutely.
that's what we've not seen yet from James Blackman. You always had trust, even when you're down 21-7 against Louisville at halftime at Louisville, that Jameis Winston is going to get hot, he's going to figure it out, and he's going to make plays that matter. And you have not seen that on a consistent basis, anything close to that from James Blackman. But yeah, I would say if my man's throwing for 4,000 yards, that's a lot of yards in 11 games. I can't even do that math. Is that 350, 60 yards per game? Yeah, that's probably a good sign that you're going to be moving the ball pretty well and scoring a lot of points.
How many picks do you think he threw last year, James Blackman?
13?
He threw 11. That sounds really we call him a turnover machine. He only threw 11 picks in 13 games.
Yeah, I don't label that on him as much. And 4 of them were in the last game, right?
Yeah.
So during the regular season, he threw 7 picks. My problem is the throws that just nobody can catch.
Right.
Those are the ones that really bother you because that guy's open, or you've got to make that read. You've got to get out of your hand quicker. You can't take that sack. Those are the mistakes that he has to get better at, in my opinion. Not so much just throwing it straight to safeties, although he did that probably a little bit too much. But obviously in that bowl game. But even before that, turnovers are going to happen if you throw enough. But are you making enough plays to offset it? One bad play for every 8 good plays, that's a great percentage. One bad play for every good play is a terrible percentage. And it seemed like that's kind of what we got. And bad plays aren't just turnovers. They're obviously missed throws. They're misreads. They're awful throws. They're taking a sack when you shouldn't. Not getting a first down when you have to just reach out another half yard. All those kind of things are what you hope to see James Blackman at least. He's not going to eliminate them, but at least curb them.
I will say, no, 25 touchdowns, 18 picks is not going to be a good season for him. James got away with it, but I don't think because I'm looking at last year. Last year he threw 17 touchdowns and 11 picks.
But what if 12 of the picks come in 2 games?
Okay, that's a good.
And the others, he has 2 Chris Winkie NC State games, but then after that, it's just 6 picks for the other 9 games. How do you live with that? It's how the interceptions are sprinkled out, right, Aslan?
It is. I do like this exercise. Maybe we'll jump back into it on Monday.
4,000 yards is a ton, though. Let's just hope he gets to 2,400.
He said close to 4,000. Not
okay,
close. Right. Yeah, and Blackman only threw for 2,300 yards last year. So that'd be
he'll play about the same number of games, 1 more extra game if he starts for all of them. Because again, he did miss 2.5, 3 games because of Hornibrook.
That's right.
He got hornswoggled, so he didn't play all of them.
Right.
But don't you think if he had a game like he did against NC State in 18, that can play?
Yeah.
He had a really bad interception, I think, to start the second half. But he made some really good throws. He put up big numbers. I think he threw 3 or 4 touchdowns, though in a couple bad plays, but mostly good plays.
Yeah.
I think that can play this season.
Right. And he's 2 years smarter and wiser and has the scars to show for it.
Yeah,
Last
exactly
one,
right.
A. Conrad, 99. I think this is the first time they've posted on here, so welcome to the Terror Dome. They've been around since August 15th, 2015. This is only their 10th ever post. Wake up. Parentheses, small font, because I'm hesitant to start the season. Attrition on the coaching staff generally happens every year. Which coach on the current staff do you think we are most likely to lose after this season, but for a positive reason? Which coach leaves us for just not getting the job done?
I don't want to speculate on that. I'm not going to answer the second part, but I'll answer the first part.
Sissy.
Number one, I don't know. I'm assuming they're all really good. Yeah. He has a great track record of hiring coaches. We haven't seen anything that makes us believe that somebody will lose their job. I would say.
See, I would say John Papuchis has the most stops, so maybe he's the most journeyman of the whole crew.
I think Papuchis is a guy that maybe if he gets a shot at a defensive coordinator somewhere else.
Yeah, because my thing is what could he do? Who fires their defensive ends coach and special teams coordinator? How big of a disaster does it have to be that he gets fired?
No, I think if he does well with special teams this year, he might be looking to go back into running a defense.
Right.
As much as he loves running special teams, it would appear. I think he's a defensive coach at heart. So I think that's a guy that could leave for a good reason if he performs well this season and next season. And then I also think the two other obvious answers for me are Marv to go be a DC somewhere, and then Dillingham to go be a head coach.
Oh, no way, man. David Johnson.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm telling you. Yeah, Woodson, you forget about these guys. Fuller's an impressive guy. Maybe Thompson, I keep acting like he's 87 years old. He's in his 50s. He might want to go be a head coach again. I don't know that you can do that straight from being a tight ends coach. But
deputy head coach, too.
All these guys they're upwardly mobile. I keep saying that, but it's true. They're not stuck to Mike Norvell. They have initiative, they have drive, they have goals, and they're good enough at their jobs that they can go climb the ladder, which is nice. And this isn't just a shot at Willie Taggart. How many of Jimbo's assistants his last few years at Florida State were climbing a ladder and were appealing to other schools around the country? Nobody wanted those guys either. I think these guys, he's put together a coaching staff where he's got some dudes that could really be climbing the ladder fast, which is always a good sign for a football program.
All right, great job. Way to go overtime on that, Corey. You have somewhere to be. Obviously, it's important, so we do appreciate it. Florida State has a mock game Saturday. They'll be practicing Friday and talking to us, so do check out warchant.com. Corey will have the live play-by-play, blow-by-blow from the press conferences, and we'll do this all again on Monday. Corey, will you agree to that?
I do, and I love you very much, and I love everyone listening to this show.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.